Hello there everyone, it's Toby Jones here. Welcome to a new video. Today is a different type of video. Today we're going to be doing a tribute to the Queen of Rock and Roll who sadly passed away yesterday, Tina Turner, at the age of 83. And I didn't know whether to do this or not and record this video, but I thought I'd add my piece. And really sad, left yesterday evening. I'd just come home from visiting some family. It was my niece's 13th birthday. And BBC News on my iPad came up that Tina Turner had passed away, and it's one of those moments that really just takes you by surprise, and ultimately a massive music legend. I don't think before last night I really understood how widely appreciated Tina Turner was in the wider music circle, and I'm by no means a Tina Turner encyclopedia, but I really like some of Tina's music. I think it's impossible not to. Such a massive star. Obviously you've got the hits, Simply the Best, probably her best known track, What's Love Got to Do with It, and there's so many tracks, but I think those are the two most known tracks. Obviously this album here, Private Dance, probably Tina's most known album, but I just want to talk today about my relationship with Tina Turner's music. And as I say, I'm not a Tina Turner encyclopedia, but I think before we really talk about my relationship with the music and showing off some of the bits and pieces I have of Tina's music, and no doubt this event will push Tina's music higher up on the list. It's all I've been listening to for the last 24 hours. But before we talk about all that, just some of the stats. 100 million records sold worldwide, over 100 million records. Played to an audience of 180,000 in 1988 on the Break Every Rule tour, which at the time was a record for a solo performer. 12 Grammy Awards, first black artist, first woman to appear on the cover of Rolling Stone, and inducted twice into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, firstly with Ike and Tina Turner, and then secondly as a solo artist in 2021. And that just really shows the legacy that Tina Turner had. Such an inspirational figure. Obviously has died at the age of 83, had I would like to say good long life. Obviously she's had some real battles in that period. Again, I'm not going to go into all of that, but obviously she had a abusive relationship with her husband, Ike Turner, and she was part of his group, very much the co-lead in that group. And then from those R&B soul beginnings, we have hits like River Deep, Mountain High, Proud Mary, Nutbush City Limits. That's my personal favourite one that my mum played a lot when I was younger. You know, bear in mind that I'm only 22 years of age. It's an unfortunate thing that in the era of music that I like, mostly 70s and 80s stuff, that we get to a point where sadly nothing lasts forever, and Tina Turner, will be on the 80s front, started late. She was in her mid-40s when she had the success with the Private Dancer album and Foreign Affair. But when you think about the legacy and the length of her career, is incredible. Starting in the late 50s with, again, the soul and R&B beginnings, and some of the cover versions she did was fantastic. And then leaving Ike, breaking free from that abusive marriage, and really the period of her career that I'm most interested in is that mid-80s point. This album, Private Dancer, but before that, she wasn't just one genre. She transcended the music world, in my opinion. As I said, soul, R&B in the 60s, even turned to country in the 70s. I think one of her first solo albums was Tina Turns the Country On, and this CD here, Tina Turner Sings Country, is kind of like a bootleg, I think, of some of the songs from those sessions. And Good-Hearted Woman in particular from this album. Originally, I think, Willie Nelson, but this for me is the definitive version. And that goes for some of the other cover versions she did. You take from the Private Dancer album, the cover of Let's Stay Together, originally from Al Green. The power in Tina Turner's voice, just unbelievable, and makes quite a slow track by Al Green in the 70s and really elevates it. And it's just a roar. That a tremble becomes a roar, and Tina Turner's voice just so compelling to listen to, and makes any track so good. So we went into the 80s. We had this massive album, Private Dancer, went 5 times platinum in the US, 3 times platinum in the UK, sold 12 million albums worldwide. Just incredible, really, thinking that Tina Turner was very much gone, and in the mid-80s came back with this massive album. Albeit after that, this album in, I want to say 86, Break Every Rule, wasn't the biggest album. I think, like all artists, it's so tricky to follow up such a massive album. This sold 3 million worldwide, went platinum in the UK and the US, but obviously down on the album that came before it, Break Every Rule. And then we have probably my favourite album from Tina Turner, which is Foreign Affair from 1989. Features, obviously, probably her most known song, The Best, or simply The Best as it's sometimes known. Some of the other brilliant tracks on here, again, and the collaborators she had as well, some of the songwriters she had were just unbelievable. Steamy Windows on this album, love that track. You Know Who's Doing You Know What, Undercover Agent for the Blues, Look Me in the Heart, Be Tender With Me Baby, I Don't Want to Lose You as well. And again, I didn't mention before, from the Private Dancer album, another cover, I Can't Stand the Rain, covered by so many, and Tina's version is just fantastic, absolutely fantastic. We also had the live album, Live in Europe, which came out in the late 80s, which was a double vinyl album, and I've also got this on CD as well. And just to show really the legacy that Tina Turner had and the performers that she collaborates with on this album, we've got duets with Eric Clapton, David Bowie, Bryan Adams. Obviously, brilliant duet with Bryan Adams, one of my all-time favourite artists, with the track It's Only Love, and the live version is fantastic. And she opens it up just by talking about Bryan Adams, to say that she's sung with Lionel Richie, Rod Stewart, Bowie, Robert Palmer obviously as well, with that cover of Addicted to Love. I mean, Robert Palmer's version of Addicted to Love is awesome, but you can't take anything away from Tina Turner's version of that track. Absolutely unbelievable as well. And she talks about all those guys that she's duetted with in the past, and then says just a normal guy from Canada, Bryan Adams. But obviously he got a standing ovation when he was brought out to the audience. And as I say, hearing this news, funny, I didn't know Tina Turner personally, obviously not family, but it's one of those things that really hits you, because I think her music really impacted me. Some brilliant music. Again, I only really deeply know a couple of her albums, but going on beyond the live album, we've got the greatest hits set that I think probably would have sold really well as well, which is just titled Simply the Best. And there's not a bad track on here. I was listening to Private Dancer on the way to work this morning, and on the way home had this on. And if anybody wants to dispute that Tina Turner's not rock star ultimately, Love Thing, Addicted to Love, Steamy Windows, some of these tracks, obviously Simply the Best as well, just absolute rock. Simple, and that's why I think, I generally I'm a rock music fan, but I like other types of music. Tina Turner was a rock star, no question about it. You struggle to think of anybody that compares, really, and that's why it makes it such a sad day that we've lost Tina. She's been retired for a number of years from touring, and unfortunately at my tender age, like many of the music superstars that I've listened to so much, unfortunately I never got to see her live. I know my parents did, but what's great, she leaves a body of music behind which we can all enjoy. Obviously had the brilliant accolade in the 90s as well, and it's on this compilation album of singing the title song from the Bond film GoldenEye in 1995. This, a later Greatest Hits edition, features some other tracks like Missing You, a cover of the John Waite song, which, again, I really like John Waite's version, but Tina Turner's version is great as well. And a couple of other different tracks on this. I think that, maybe some of the later outputs, so we've got Wildest Dreams. I did mean to get Tina's latest album, the last album, 24/7, but I forgot to get that And I'll be honest, I haven't listened to all of this, so I've also got the soundtrack from the film, the semi-autobiographical film released in the early 90s, What's Love Got to Do with It? And I think from this, it'll really make me listen to more of Tina's music as a whole, as my record prop nearly falls, but oh well. I've also, again, bought this fairly recently, a DVD, The Best of Tina Turner Celebrate, which is clips from Tina's live 60th birthday concert with, again, archive performances with Cher, Rod Stewart, Bowie, Mick Jagger, obviously Bono and The Edge. Those guys wrote Goldeneye, the track, and just what a performer. And I think it's a sad day, but obviously Tina's legacy really lives on in her music, I think, and such a brilliant performer. And I think from this, as I said, I'll be listening to even more now, and I hope that, obviously I'm a little bit different in my music taste to maybe a lot of other people my age, but I'd hope that maybe this will open up Tina's music to a wider audience. There's a musical in the West End just called Tina that's been on the last couple of years. That was supported by Tina Turner herself, and I think she's such a big figure. As I said earlier, I think that I didn't realise just how big. I was watching the Sky News coverage covering her life last night, and some of the names with the tributes. I know that when anyone of real note in the music world dies, everybody puts the tributes in, but Mick Jagger, Elton John, the Obamas, Oprah Winfrey was a big friend of Tina Turner. Some of these names, it's almost like you're just going through the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Obviously, Bryan Adams devastated. I saw a post on Instagram from Bryan Adams as well last night about this. I think Tina's been in ill health for a number of years. The age of 83. Obviously, she'll be remembered for the great music. Years of great music. She had some albums, I think, in the late 70s. She didn't do all that well, but I might go back and listen to those as well. And I think that although the wider catalogue of Tina Turner was definitely on my radar, there's no question that's just gone up the list. And as much of a sad day it is to lose Tina Turner, as I said, her legacy will live on in the music, and I think if you're probably watching to this point, you'll know Tina Turner's music. But if you don't, please, whether it's just a greatest hits album, a live album, whether you go on Spotify and just load some of the most popular tracks, she's one of a kind. I don't think she's irreplaceable and one of the best of all time. And that's all I'm going to say today, because if I'm not careful, I shall go on for hours rambling on about Tina Turner's music. But I think this will encourage me to go back and listen to some of the albums and possibly do some content on the channel talking about how much I love Tina Turner's music. But I wanted to do this today. I wasn't sure about doing it, but I haven't done this in the past. You know, that there's other people that have died that I know a little bit about, but Tina Turner, probably since I've been doing YouTube, is the first name that I've got a real connection to in terms of the music, and I felt that I wanted to talk about Tina Turner for 10 or 15 minutes today. So if you've enjoyed this, leave a like, leave your comments down below on what you think of Tina Turner's music legacy, and subscribe to the channel for regular music and film content. Thank you for joining me today. I've got the bank holiday weekend coming up. I think a lot of that will be filled with the brilliant music, the brilliant voice of Tina Turner, and ultimately she said it the best herself. She was simply the best, the queen of rock and roll, Tina Turner, who sadly died at the age of 83. Thank you for your company on today's video, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you and goodbye.